In this video, I will be showing you an incredibly nice opening that you can use with black against e4 to get great positions. This game was a tournament game. As you can see, I am currently in my hotel room recording this video. This was round 2 of the chess tournament, very big tournament, 7-round open Swiss tournament. If you want to see all games, I am building an entire playlist. We just lost the first round horribly. This is game number 2, time for redemption. And I was playing with the black pieces against an 1800 rated player. These are FIDE ratings, so not chess.com ratings, FIDE ratings. This would probably be 2000 or 2100 chess.com rating probably. So my opponent plays e4, I play d5, and this game is a bit of a strange game because after I lost the first round, I had to play against someone else who lost as well, and I literally got the last board. So in a chess tournament, every chess board is numbered. I got the very last board. That's like usually where they put the, well, I would say the losers. It's a bit harsh, but yes, that's where they put you. And that was also right next to the exit. It's as if they were to say like, look, if you lose this, you might as well go home. So I had to win this game. It was time for redemption. So e4, d5, Scandinavian. My opponent takes. My opponent plays knight c3 and I go back queen to d8. So this is the Scandinavian defense. I really recommend this opening if you are looking for a great and very simple opening that you can play with black against e4 and always get great positions. So my opponent played pawn to d4. The general move you should respond with in those cases is the move knight to f6. And then my opponent played the move bishop to c4. There are many different ways that you could play the Scandinavian. Most commonly, you would see people play bishop to g4 or bishop to f5 and then play e6 and c6 and actually build this pawn structure. Let me color the squares correctly. Yes, castle, this, that, play a simple game. Wow, okay. But in this game, I wanted to try out something new, some new theory that I have been investigating. It's something very unknown. I looked into the database. It has almost never been played before. It's a bit of a stockfish line, a computer line, which is the move a6, pawn to a6. Looks completely strange. Why would we play pawn to a6? But this can actually lead to very nice variations. So remember this move. It's a very interesting line to play. My opponent played knight f3 and we play b5. So the goal here is not that we will be playing the regular Scandinavian setup, but we are going to do a fianchetto with the bishop, and we are using the fact that their bishop is maybe a little bit misplaced here on c4 to gain a tempo against them and push these pawns. You have to be careful that you play this in the correct move order, because for example, if you did not develop the knight earlier, sometimes there is like a bishop sacrifice here, and then the queen goes in, gives you a check, picks up your rook. This can go horribly wrong if you play the wrong order, especially knight f6 is important and e6 is also important to close this diagonal. So the bishop has to move. Probably the bishop should go back here, but most chess players, they have the tendency that they want to stay on the diagonal where they put their bishop, even if it's not useful. So not really a great move for them here, bishop to b3. And here I actually messed up my theory, because as I said, this is new theory. I have been studying this just literally the week before this tournament as a bit of a surprise weapon in case I wanted to use it in a specific round. And the move here is c5. The move is c5. You play c5, which looks strange. Looks very strange because this whole thing is open, but we play c5. We are threatening to trap the bishop. And pretty much they will take you. They don't have to. There is one other move, a4, but let's say they take you. That's the most normal move. You then take their queen, force them to go back with the knight. Then you play pawn to e6. This opens up your bishop. They can do whatever. If they simply castle, they give you the pawn back for free. So they should try at least a little bit to hold on to the pawn. You play bishop to b7, they castle, you play knight to d7, and whatever they do, we will be winning back this pawn. So imagine if they put their knight back to the original square, we would win this pawn. And black always has great positions if you play this opening, because literally the white opening has been completely neutralized. We also have the two bishops aiming towards the king. Our knights are actually well placed, working together. We could castle short, but most of the time you don't even castle in this game. You just place your king on e7, put your rooks on d8, c8. Black just always has the endgame advantage. This should be great. In the game, however, instead of playing the move c5, I played the move e6. I was actually seeing ghosts. I was confusing my theory, and I thought for a moment that there would actually be a problem. I will show you what I was afraid of. So I was afraid, let me see if I can find it. Yeah, I was afraid of c5, bishop sacrifice, king takes, knight e5, with a check. Well, the king, let's say we go back. Queen f3. I saw this coming and I was thinking, oh, no, 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 no. This is not what's supposed to happen. Like this whole position is open. My rook is here. My king is exposed. But you literally just have to move rook a7, which is strange. Did not calculate deeply enough. Rook a7 solves everything. So because of rook a7, we can actually play the move c5 very early in this opening. I instead played e6, which simply blocks the diagonal. It's the move we want to play anyways. It's just that we should not play it here. We should play it later. Day castle. And then I play c5. So we still got the exact same position, but now none of these bishop sacrifice tricks are possible. White is in trouble if they don't do anything. I push and I win their bishop. So they take, which is great. We take their queen. The only downside here is that because they have already castled, they now have the opportunity to take with the rook. And that is really why we should play c5 earlier, so that we can force them to take with the knight that actually undevelops one of their pieces. So here I help them a little bit. It's a slightly better version of my opening for black. So it's supposed to go even better for you if you play this. This was slightly misplayed by me. Bishop c5. They played pawn to h3, which makes sense, because otherwise there could sometimes be an f2 pawn problem. Bishop to b7. Now we have this exact position that I showed you before. This is like our ending position, the goal, the position that we want to achieve. The only difference is that this knight should be on d1 and then go back to c3. So this rook should technically still be there. This rook should technically still be there if you play it correctly. That's your ending position. So I was super happy with this position, and my opponent played the move knight e5. And this was, of course, end of preparation for me. I did not really know specifically what to play. I actually had already misplayed the move order, and then from here I have to figure it out. So there are many things that we can do as black in this position. Usually the correct move is to play knight to d7. That's almost always the move that we should play. So I decided to play it here. It's fine. I could also have played knight c6, maybe slightly better, but okay. I play this move, and then my opponent plays the move bishop to f4. So there's actually a very interesting tactical move we can play here. If you want, you can always pause for a moment. So black has a very nice move. We want to win this knight. And we can play the move pawn to g5. I actually looked into this move in the game, but I decided not to play it. Pawn to g5, incredibly interesting move. If they take our pawn, we have rook to g8. And, well, let's say the bishop goes back to where it came from. Then we have rook takes g2 with a check. And this will also become the windmill tactic. Also, it does not matter where the king goes. On the next move, we take this. And that's always going to be with a check, either from the bishop or from the rook. And this is a typical plan in this opening. You want to open up this file so you can, excuse me, attack with the rook. So that's also why in this position, as I said before, we actually don't want to castle short. We don't want to castle short. Sometimes you can castle long because that helps put your rook on the d file, but most of the time you just don't castle and you put your king on e7. There's also a general rule in chess: if the queens are off the board, there is no reason to castle anymore. Because if the queens are off the board, we are in the endgame, at least according to me. Queens off the board means endgame, and in the endgame you want your king as close to the central squares as you can, and you don't want to have a rook here, you want your rooks here on the open files. So I actually think if you castle here, that would be a mistake. Well, first of all, you would straight up lose a piece, so that would not be great. But also, just positionally speaking, does not make sense. So I played the move king e7, which is actually a great move. It's the standard move for this position. The only reason it's an inaccuracy is because this g5 move is so incredibly good that I should have probably played that instead. Looked into it, didn't play it, because of course they don't have to capture, they could also move back, and then I was thinking, why is my pawn even on g5 in the first place? But it was definitely a move worth playing. They play rook to d2, and then here this is a very interesting moment. The computer apparently for the rest of this game is really shouting at us to play the move knight takes e5. Like knight takes e5 is the best move, you should play it. The reason why is their knight is so much stronger and better placed than your knight, so just trade the damn knights and then make sure that their knight is gone. Then you get a rook to the center, you trade a little bit, and then you play this endgame. Why did I not go for this in the game? Why did I not take this? Well, we are literally trading all of the pieces. And if there is one thing that I'm trying to avoid in this tournament, it's getting draws. Really, I don't want to get draws. I would rather lose, honestly, than get a bunch of draws. So I don't want to trade pieces too much because I'm playing for win. I'm trying to gain elo. I'm not playing here to get draws. So not what I was going to do. I played bishop b4, which is a great move. It gets a question mark because this is better. But bishop b4 pins the knight, and we might create some complications. Rook d1, we have a problem. This knight is hanging. We should probably still capture, but I would never do that. So I played rook to d8 to protect the knight. Opponent plays a3. I take on the c3 square, and they capture back. So I actually felt incredibly happy with this position. Like, if you look at this from a human point of view, black wins this from a human point of view. What do I mean with that? Well, black has the better placed bishop. Black has this weakness that we can target, and white does not really have much. So this position is definitely good for black. From a computer point of view, computer always says, I can draw this easily. You are all trash at chess. But this is from a human point of view, white is under pressure already. So knight d5, interesting move. It attacks both the bishop and the pawn, so I'm literally trying to win something here. However, I don't know, was it here? Yeah, here actually. There is actually a super nice tactical sequence for white, which draws the game. So if I had seen that sequence ahead of time, I would not have played this move. So what can white do? Pause if you want for a moment. White has a very nice tactic here. What can white do? White can play bishop takes d5, bishop takes d5, rook takes d5, pawn takes d5, knight c6 with a check, king goes to e6, knight takes the rook, rook takes the rook, and then here this position is equal. But because of all the trades, the chances of this being drawish are way higher. White can also check with the rook, which forces my king to a bit of an awkward square. Maybe f5 makes sense. And then we would need to play this endgame. Computer says bishop e3 and white holds to draw any other move and white loses. So a very nice sequence that could be played by my opponent. He actually told me straight after the game, like he said, I think I had a sequence there with a fork. I told him like, yeah, but I think it doesn't really work. It doesn't really work. I mean, it doesn't win them anything, but it does keep the position equal. My opponent, however, just moved back the bishop. So respectable decision. All right, and then I played knight goes to c5. And with the knight on c5, I'm attacking the bishop, but that's not really what I want to do, right? Because we have this pawn structure that we damaged for the opponent. This is our biggest advantage, this damaged pawn structure. So we don't want to randomly capture that bishop, make their pawn move forward, and fix their pawn structure again. My plan was really just the e4 square. If I can go to the e4 square, I can attack the rook, the bishop, the pawn, and then I have multiple attackers on the pawn. Also, yes, by the way, this pawn is hanging, and if you take it, you lose because of this. Before I forget to mention that, no. We cannot take the pawn for free. All right, knight to c5. Opponent takes with the bishop. Okay, so they are giving us a bishop for a knight. That's a good trade for us. I take back, and then my opponent plays c4. c4. And I was looking at this, and I was literally thinking, are they just self-destructing? Because this doesn't work for them. However, white is losing. Well, losing is maybe not the right word, but white is down no matter what they do. As I said, from a human point of view, white is losing. From a computer point of view, it's playable. But c4, okay. We take it, right? It's a free pawn. My opponent takes this with the knight. Okay, what's the plan here? Don't we just have a free knight? And there's actually a trick if we take the knight, but we should take the knight. If we take the knight, white plays the move bishop to d6 check, which is a fork. It also attacks my knight. But I can just play rook takes d6, rook takes d6, and now we have a bishop and a knight in exchange for a rook. The pawns are equal, right? Yeah, the pawns are equal. But this is always a winning endgame. If you have the bishop and the knight against the rook, that is always a winning endgame. So it can take a while, but you win this endgame as black every single time, unless, of course, if you straight up blunder. How do you win this endgame? Well, the thing is, we have 3 pieces. They have 2 pieces. So if I attack a weak pawn, for example, this one, or this one, I will always have 3 attackers. How many defenders will they have? 2. Not enough. Maybe if I can bring my king in, I might have 4 attackers against 2 defenders. 2 defenders is simply not enough. So we are going to pick up both of those orange pawns one by one, and then I will promote this into a queen, and we win the game. That's the endgame plan. So bishop d5, great move. I don't want the rooks to work together. I want to disconnect the rooks. I am not winning this rook. They have 1 more square left, which is the b6 square. And then I played knight to d7, I think. Yes. And I thought this was a very intelligent move because, look, white controls this file. But after this move, I am controlling, literally, almost every single square on this file. So it's like, look, you can have your rook on the file, but yeah, no entry, right? You cannot enter the position because I simply control all the squares. So the rook has to go back. Now it's time for us to start attacking the weak pawns. There are so many moves here that I won't go too in depth because everything wins. Rook c8 attacks the pawn, rook c1 protects the pawn, and then here I propose the trade of rooks. Apparently there are faster ways to win the game, but if they take my rook, it's simple. Now it's just 2 pieces versus 1. We still win that. Okay, my opponent did not take. Very smart move by them, actually, this c3, because they are saying, look, if you want, you can take my rook. But if I take the rook, now we connect their pawns. If these pawns are connected, that means only this one is weak. Which color is this one? Dark. Which color is our bishop? Light. So we are not going to be able to easily win pawns if we take. So we should not fix our opponent's pawn structure. That would be a huge mistake. So I was thinking, what can I do here? And then I realized, literally, it's time to activate my 4th attacker. I can just walk my king up the board. It's safe. I am controlling every single square anyways. So king d6, king c5, king just gets closer. We still don't want to take this 100%. If we take this, well, yeah, that's not good. So that's not the plan. The plan was to play a5, and now I am actually controlling all of these squares. So the rook, yeah, you have to go out. You can no longer stay on this file. So the rook goes away. And there are many ways for black to win this. We just need to keep putting pressure on those 2 pawns. So rook a4 puts pressure on the pawn. Rook a1 defends the pawn, and of course, as I said, 4 attackers versus 2 defenders. It's time to use our king as well. Look at this king. This king is a legend. Like, the journey of this king was literally e8, e7, d6, c5, c4. It's like my pieces are not even doing anything. Like the bishop and the knight, they are not moving. I'm just winning the game with my king. And that's how endgames are supposed to be played. This pawn is under attack. There is literally nothing that they can do. I'll show you the final moves here. So my opponent played this move, and then I was thinking, and then they just resigned. So that was the game. Because after this move, I can pick up this pawn. There are some checks, but my king literally just dances back to the original square. It goes back to, well, it could go to f6 or to d6. And we are up in material even more because we win a pawn. So my opponent, oh, wait a minute, I just messed up my entire file. None of this actually happened. Delete move. Yeah. So yeah, they played rook to a2. All right. If they play rook here, which looks logical, there is literally the move king to b3. I would keep going with the king. Now I'm threatening to win this pawn. And they have no defense, because if they put the rook there, they lose the pawn. So that would be the end of the game. And if they play the rook here, that's the most interesting. Look at this position. Then we just have rook takes a3 anyways, and we still win a pawn. And if they start trading, well, now it's still literally, as I said, right, 3 attackers versus this pawn with 1 defender. So very nice game. With this, I am now 1 out of 2, meaning lost the first round, won the second round. 5 more rounds to go. My elo is back to normal. I lost the same amount that I won in this round. So if you want to see the next games, make sure to subscribe, check in. I'm building a playlist. Stay tuned for the next updates.